Cat of all trades.
Hey friends, welcome back to Cat of All Trades to our faith series. This is installment number three. So we're continuing on with faith. We're just going to jump right back in to Mark 11:22 through 25. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Have faith in God. I tell you the truth, you can say to this mountain, 'May you be lifted up and thrown into the sea,' and it will happen. But you must believe it will happen. Have no doubt in your heart. I tell you, you can pray for anything, and if you believe that you've received it, it will be yours. But when you're praying, first forgive anyone you're holding a grudge against, so that your Father in heaven will forgive your sins too." We're going to talk about faith and forgiveness today. So I'm just going to reread that last verse because it really brings home the point straight from Jesus. He says, "But when you're praying, first forgive anyone you're holding a grudge against, so that your Father in heaven will forgive your sins too." Forgiveness is so key when it comes to faith because it's an attitude of the heart. And unforgiveness is this hardness of heart. It's an environment in which faith cannot thrive, it cannot grow, it cannot be strengthened. Unforgiveness will constantly be fighting against your faith. Sometimes in really subtle ways. We don't always see the effects of it. And sometimes it can feel really good to hold a grudge, even though we know we shouldn't, especially as God's children. We know we're not supposed to hold grudges, and we're supposed to forgive, but it's really challenging, especially in those areas where you really don't feel like the person's repentant, or you feel like you don't have closure, or it was just so truly awful that the thought of forgiving is horrifying to you as a person, as a human. But when it comes to faith, we have to plow up that hardness in our heart. We have to learn the processes and how to choose how to forgive, so that we can see faith move in our lives. So another verse I want to share with you is Colossians 3, verses 12 to 13. "Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others." I love what Paul has to say here because he compares our forgiving to the fact that we are forgiven. God has forgiven you. The Lord forgave you when Jesus was hanging on the cross, suffering in one of the worst ways humans can suffer, to be put to death by method of torture. He forgave. Right then and there, he was forgiving. Those are some of the last words he breathed on the cross was, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." So Paul wants to remind us that if the Lord can forgive you of anything you've done, if he can forgive all of humanity of all of the awfulness that God has received from them, of the ways God was treated, then we should also be able to forgive those around us, forgive those who offend us, forgive those we have grudges against. Forgiveness is definitely not an easy process. I struggle with it alongside all y'all, but it is one that we can continue to grow in as a process, and doing so will keep our hearts in a space where they're soft and they're fertile and they're ready for the seeds of faith to be planted in, that we can believe God to be moving in and around our lives in the way that he wants to. So forgiveness is super important when it comes to faith, and there's a whole lot of verses in the Bible. So just Google forgiveness in the Bible and you're gonna have a great study. I hope you learned something today. I hope that it challenges you, because we always have things that we need to be working on, especially in the area of forgiveness, and that you're gonna keep exploring and keep nurturing your faith. Thanks, guys. See you next time.